Maya Singh walked through her front door with quiet steps, careful not to make any noise. Today was her 5th wedding anniversary with Rajiv, and she had planned everything perfectly. She had told him she would be working late at the office, but in reality, she left early to surprise him when he came home. Their marriage had been happy these 5 years. Rajiv worked hard at his job as a manager at a big technology company, and Maya had recently been promoted at the bank where she worked. They had a comfortable life in their 2-bedroom apartment in the city. Maya placed her handbag on the kitchen counter and looked around their home with a smile. She had stopped at the market on her way home to buy Rajiv's favorite sweets and a bottle of wine. Their anniversary dinner reservation wasn't until 8:00 p.m., which gave her plenty of time to set up her surprise. She took out the small gift box from her bag, a new watch she had saved for months to buy him. Rajiv had been looking at it in the shop window whenever they walked past the mall. Maya knew he would never buy it for himself because he always said it was too expensive. He deserved something special, Maya whispered to herself as she wrapped the box with gold paper and tied it with a red ribbon. The clock on the wall showed 5:30 p.m. Rajiv usually came home around 6:00 p.m., which meant she didn't have much time. Maya quickly changed into the new red dress she had bought for this occasion and put on the perfume Rajiv had given her for her birthday. Her plan was simple but romantic. She would hide in their bedroom and jump out to surprise him when he walked in. Then they would have a glass of wine before going to the restaurant. At 5:45 p.m., Maya heard a key turning in the front door. She grabbed the gift and hurried to their bedroom, her heart beating fast with excitement. But instead of closing the bedroom door, she left it slightly open so she could hear when Rajiv entered the apartment. That's strange, she thought. Rajiv is home earlier than usual. Maya stood behind the bedroom door, waiting for the right moment. But then she heard something unexpected. Voices. Rajiv wasn't alone. She recognized the second voice as Amit, Rajiv's cousin and best friend since childhood. Do you want some water? She heard Rajiv ask. No, I'm good, Amit replied. So, have you told Maya yet? Maya froze. The tone of Amit's voice was serious. Not yet, Rajiv said with a heavy sigh. How can I? Today is our anniversary. Maya's excitement slowly turned to worry. She didn't mean to eavesdrop, but now she couldn't move. What was it that Rajiv needed to tell her? You can't keep hiding this, Rajiv, Amit said. It's been 3 months already. I know, Rajiv answered, his voice filled with stress. But every time I try to tell her, I see her happy face and I just can't do it. Maya's hands began to shake. The gift she was holding suddenly felt heavy. Her mind raced with possibilities, each worse than the last. Was Rajiv sick? Was he unhappy in their marriage? Did he want to leave her? She heard footsteps coming toward the bedroom. Quickly, Maya moved behind the closet door, her heart now pounding for a completely different reason. As Rajiv and Amit entered the bedroom, she held her breath, no longer a wife waiting to surprise her husband, but a woman about to discover a secret that might change everything. Maya stood frozen behind the closet door, barely breathing. What had started as a romantic surprise had turned into something completely different. Through the small gap, she could see Rajiv sitting heavily on the edge of their bed. Amit stood near the window, arms crossed. I don't understand why you haven't told her, Amit said, shaking his head. Maya is not a child. She deserves to know the truth. Rajiv ran his hands through his hair, a gesture Maya knew well. He did this whenever he was stressed or worried. The sight made her stomach tighten with fear. The company is letting go of 30% of the staff, Rajiv said softly. My department is the first to go. Maya's eyes widened. Was this the secret? Rajiv was losing his job. But that's not your fault, Amit replied. The economy is bad right now. Many people are losing their jobs. Rajiv stood up and paced around the room, coming dangerously close to where Maya was hiding. She pressed herself deeper into the closet corner. You don't understand, Rajiv said, his voice breaking slightly. It's not just about losing my job. It's what I did after. Maya's mind raced. What could be worse than losing his job? What had Rajiv done? I've been leaving home every morning at the usual time, Rajiv continued. Maya thinks I'm going to work. But I've been sitting in coffee shops, applying for jobs, pretending everything is normal. I've been lying to her for 3 months, Amit. 3 months. The truth hit Maya like a cold wave. For 3 months, Rajiv had pretended to go to work, For 3 months, he had carried this burden alone. And that's not all, Rajiv said, his voice dropping even lower. I took money from our savings account to make it seem like I'm still getting paid. Our anniversary trip to go next month? I already cancelled it, but Maya doesn't know. I can't afford it. Maya looked down at the anniversary gift in her hand, the expensive watch she had saved for. Tears formed in her eyes. All this time, she had been excited about their trip, planning what they would do, where they would eat, while Rajiv was carrying this secret. Have you at least been looking for a new job? Amit asked. Every day, Rajiv nodded. I've had 7 interviews. Yesterday, I thought I finally had something. The interview went well, they seemed to like me. Then this morning, they called to say they hired someone else. Amit walked over and put a hand on Rajiv's shoulder. Brother, you need to tell Maya. She loves you, she will understand. Rajiv wiped his eyes quickly. How can I tell her? We have loans to pay. Her parents are coming to visit next month. What will they think of me? I'm supposed to take care of her, and I can't even keep my job. Maya felt a tear roll down her cheek. The pain in Rajiv's voice broke her heart. She wanted to step out, to tell them that she didn't care about the job or the money or what her parents would think. But she remained hidden, understanding now that this moment between the two friends was important. Tonight is our anniversary, Rajiv said, looking at his watch. I made dinner reservations at that restaurant she likes. It will cost too much, but I can't disappoint her. Not today. Amit sighed. And tomorrow? What about the day after that? How long can you keep this up? Rajiv stood up straighter, wiping his face. After tonight, I will tell her everything. I promise. I just want to give her one more happy day before our life changes. As the two men walked out of the bedroom, Maya slid down to the floor of the closet, still clutching her gift. The surprise she had planned was forgotten. Now she faced a different kind of surprise, the knowledge that her husband was suffering in silence, afraid to share his darkest secret with her. Maya sat on the closet floor for several minutes after Rajiv and Amit left the bedroom. Her mind was spinning with everything she had just heard. The expensive anniversary gift in her hands now felt heavy with meaning. All this time, she had been excited about their special day while Rajiv was drowning in worry. She carefully placed the gift box on the shelf and wiped her tears. What should she do now? Should she confront him immediately, or should she pretend she didn't know anything and let him tell her when he was ready? Maya could hear Rajiv and Amit talking in the living room, their voices too low to make out the words. After a few more minutes, she heard the front door open and close. Amit had left. Taking a deep breath, Maya stepped out of the closet and looked at herself in the bedroom mirror. Her eyes were red from crying, and her new red dress seemed inappropriate now. This was not the happy surprise she had planned. She changed into her regular home clothes and washed her face. As she was drying her face with a towel, she heard Rajiv calling her name. Maya? Are you home? His voice sounded surprised. She hadn't planned to reveal herself like this, but there was no going back now. Maya walked out of the bedroom and found Rajiv standing in the hallway, confusion clear on his face. You're home early, he said, trying to smile. I thought you had to work late today. Maya looked at her husband carefully. Now that she knew his secret, she could see the stress lines around his eyes, the forced smile, the way his shoulders seemed to carry an invisible weight. I wanted to surprise you, she said softly, for our anniversary. Rajiv's smile became more genuine. That's sweet of you. I was just about to call you. I made dinner reservations at Royal Garden for 8:00 p.m. The restaurant was expensive, too expensive for their situation. Maya knew this now. Actually, she said, making a quick decision, I was thinking maybe we could stay home tonight. I can cook something special. It would be nice to have a quiet evening. Just the two of us. Confusion flashed across Rajiv's face. But you love Royal Garden. I thought you'd be excited. I am excited, Maya said, stepping closer to him. But not about the restaurant. I'm excited to spend time with you. That's what matters. Rajiv looked at her strangely, as if trying to understand the sudden change in plans. Are you sure? It's our anniversary. I'm sure, Maya nodded. She hesitated for a moment before adding, Rajiv, we need to talk. The color drained from his face. Talk? About what? Maya took his hand and led him to the couch. They sat down side by side, and she turned to face him. I know, Rajiv, she said gently. I know about the job. His eyes widened in shock. How did you? I was in the bedroom when you and Amit came in. I heard everything. Rajiv's shoulders slumped, and he covered his face with his hands. I'm so sorry, Maya. I wanted to tell you. I didn't know how. Maya put her arm around him, pulling him close. Why did you think you needed to carry this alone? We're partners, Rajiv. Your problems are my problems. I felt like a failure, he whispered. 3 months without finding a new job, our savings going down every day. The trip I promised you for our anniversary, I had to cancel it. Look at me, Maya said, gently pulling his hands away from his face. You are not a failure. Losing a job doesn't define who you are. Tears filled Rajiv's eyes. I was afraid you would be disappointed in me. I can never be disappointed in you for something like this, Maya assured him. But I am sad that you didn't trust me enough to share this burden. What are we going to do? Rajiv asked, his voice small. Maya squeezed his hand. We will figure it out together. That's what marriage is about. No more secrets between us, okay? Rajiv nodded, relief washing over his face as the weight of his secret finally lifted. No more secrets, he agreed. Maya leaned her head on his shoulder. Their anniversary had not turned out as either of them expected, but as they sat together on the couch, Maya knew that this moment of truth was more valuable than any celebration could have been. The kitchen was quiet except for the sound of vegetables being chopped. Maya stood at the counter, cutting onions and tomatoes for dinner. Rajiv sat at the table behind her, papers spread out in front of him. I've applied to 27 companies in the last 3 months, he said, looking through the list he had made. 7 interviews, but no job offers yet. Maya nodded as she listened. After their emotional conversation earlier, they had decided to make dinner together instead of going to the expensive restaurant. Now, they were trying to understand their situation clearly. What about our savings? Maya asked, putting down the knife and turning to face him. How much do we have left? Rajiv took a deep breath and opened his laptop. We had saved about 4 lakhs for our future. Now we have. He typed something and then looked up at her with worried eyes, just under 2 lakhs. Maya leaned against the counter, taking in this information. It was worse than she had expected. And our monthly expenses? Around 40,000, including the apartment loan, Rajiv answered. At this rate, we have less than 5 months before we run out of money completely. The reality of their situation was starting to sink in. Maya walked over and sat across from Rajiv at the table. We need to make changes, she said firmly. Rajiv nodded, guilt still visible on his face. I'm so sorry, Maya. I should have told you sooner. We could have started saving 3 months ago. What's done is done, Maya replied, reaching for his hand. Let's focus on what we can do now. They spent the next hour making a list of ways to cut expenses. The gym memberships they rarely used were the first to go. Next, they decided to cancel their streaming services and the weekly food deliveries they had grown accustomed to. What about the apartment? Rajiv asked hesitantly. The loan payment takes almost half of our monthly expenses. Maya looked around their home. They had bought this apartment 2 years ago, excited about having their own place. It wasn't very big, but it was in a nice area, close to both their workplaces, or at least, close to where Rajiv used to work. Let's not make that decision yet, Maya said. First, let's see what other options we have. As they continued their discussion, a thought occurred to Maya. What about my promotion? What promotion? Rajiv looked confused. Maya realized she hadn't told him yet. With all the excitement about their anniversary, she had been waiting for the right moment. I was going to tell you tonight, as part of my surprise. My manager offered me a senior position last week. It would mean more responsibility, but also a 20% increase in salary. For the first time that evening, hope flickered in Rajiv's eyes. Maya, that's amazing. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I was saving it for our anniversary, she explained. And to be honest, I wasn't sure if I should take it. The new role would mean longer hours, and I thought we were doing fine financially. I was going to discuss it with you tonight. Rajiv reached across the table and took both her hands in his. You should definitely take it. This could really help us right now. Maya nodded, feeling a strange mix of emotions. She was happy about the promotion, but sad about the circumstances that made it necessary. I'll tell my manager on Monday. The timer on the stove beeped, reminding them about dinner. Maya got up to check on the food while Rajiv cleared the papers from the table. As they set up for their simple anniversary dinner, Maya watched Rajiv moving around the kitchen. He seemed lighter now, the burden of his secret no longer weighing him down. There was still worry in his eyes, but there was also determination. "We'll get through this," she said as they sat down to eat. "It won't be easy, and we'll do it together." Rajiv smiled, a genuine smile that reached his eyes. "Together," he agreed, raising his glass of water in a toast. "To no more secrets between us." Maya clinked her glass against his. "No more secrets," she repeated, feeling that despite everything, their marriage had grown stronger today. 2 weeks had passed since Maya discovered Rajiv's secret. Their life had changed significantly in that short time. Maya had accepted the promotion at the bank, and her new position kept her busier than before. Rajiv continued his job search with renewed energy, no longer carrying the weight of his secret alone. Today was Sunday, their only day together. Maya woke up first and looked at Rajiv sleeping peacefully beside her. The worry lines on his forehead were still there, but less prominent now. She quietly got out of bed and went to the kitchen to make tea. As the water boiled, Maya checked their updated budget on her phone. They had managed to cut their monthly expenses by almost 15,000 rupees. It wasn't enough to solve all their problems, but it gave them more time to figure things out. "Morning," Rajiv said, walking into the kitchen. He came up behind Maya and wrapped his arms around her waist. "What are you looking at?" "Just checking our budget," she replied, leaning back against him. "We're doing better than I expected." Rajiv nodded, his chin resting on her shoulder. "Your promotion has been a lifesaver." Maya turned to face him. "Any news from your interviews last week?" "Not yet," he said, trying to hide his disappointment. "The company in Pune said they would call by Tuesday." Maya handed him a cup of tea. "That job sounds perfect for you. I have a good feeling about it." They took their tea to the small balcony of their apartment. The morning air was cool, and the city was just beginning to wake up. Below them, a few early morning walkers strolled through the neighborhood park. "I have something to tell you," Rajiv said after a few minutes of comfortable silence. Maya felt a small jolt of worry. "What is it?" "Remember my college friend, Vikram? The one who started his own software company?" Maya nodded. She had met Vikram at a wedding last year. "I called him yesterday," Rajiv continued. "I told him about my situation and asked if he knew of any openings." "That's good," Maya encouraged. "Networking is important right now." "He offered me a job," Rajiv said, his voice a mix of excitement and uncertainty. Maya's eyes widened. "That's wonderful. What kind of job?" "Project manager for their new client accounts," Rajiv explained. "It's similar to what I was doing before." "So what's the problem?" Maya asked, sensing his hesitation. Rajiv took a deep breath. "The job is in Bangalore. We would have to move." The news took Maya by surprise. Move to Bangalore? That was over 1,000 kilometers away from their current city. Away from their families, their friends, the life they had built. "What about my job?" she asked. "I just got this promotion." "I know," Rajiv said, looking down at his tea. "That's why I didn't give Vikram an answer yet. I wanted to talk to you first." Maya sat quietly, processing this new development. Moving to Bangalore would mean starting over. She would have to find a new job, they would need a new apartment, and they would be far from everyone they knew. But it would also give Rajiv the fresh start he needed. "How much time do we have to decide?" she finally asked. "Vikram needs an answer by the end of next week," Rajiv replied. "The position starts next month." "That's not much time," Maya said. "I know it's a lot to ask," Rajiv said, taking her hand. "Especially after everything you've done already. Your promotion, the budget cuts, supporting me through all this." Maya squeezed his hand. "What about our apartment? We still have the loan." "We could sell it," Rajiv suggested, "or rent it out until we decide if Bangalore is right for us." They fell silent again, both lost in thought. The decision before them was huge, not just about a job, but about the direction of their life together. "Let's make a list," Maya finally said, standing up. "Pros and cons of moving to Bangalore. Then we can talk about it more." Rajiv smiled up at her gratefully. "I love you, you know that?" I don't know what I would do without you. Maya leaned down and kissed his forehead. You'll never have to find out. Whatever we decide, we'll do it together. As she went inside to get paper and pen, Maya wondered what the right choice was. Stay and keep struggling, or take a risk and start fresh somewhere new. Either way, she knew one thing for certain. They would face it as a team. No more secrets between them. 1 month later, Maya stood in the middle of their half-empty apartment. Boxes were stacked against the walls, labeled in Rajiv's neat handwriting. Kitchen, bedroom, books. After much discussion, they had decided to take the job in Bangalore. The moving truck would arrive tomorrow morning. Maya walked around the apartment, touching familiar surfaces one last time. This had been their first home together. Despite the recent difficulties, they had been happy here. She stopped at the bedroom door, remembering that day she had hidden in the closet, waiting to surprise Rajiv, but instead discovering his secret. Maya? Rajiv called from the living room. Can you help me with these photo frames? She joined him by the bookshelf where he was carefully wrapping their wedding photos in newspaper. I spoke to the bank today, Maya said, taking a frame from him. They processed my transfer to their Bangalore branch. Rajiv looked up with relief in his eyes. That's great news. When do you start? 2 weeks after we arrived, she replied. It's not the same position I had here, but the salary is good. And my manager said I could apply for a senior role after 6 months. Rajiv put down the photo he was holding and hugged her. Thank you for doing this. I know how hard it was to leave your job. Maya hugged him back. It's what's best for us right now. Besides, Bangalore might be a good change. The doorbell rang, interrupting their moment. Rajiv went to answer it while Maya continued wrapping the photos. Look who's here, Rajiv said, returning with Amit behind him. I came to say goodbye, Amit said, holding a small gift bag, and to bring you this housewarming present for your new place. Maya took the bag and peeked inside. It was a beautiful wooden nameplate with the Singhs carved into it. This is lovely, Amit. Thank you, she said, giving him a warm hug. I'm going to miss you both, Amit said, looking around at the boxes. But I think this move is good for you. A fresh start. The three of them sat on the floor, surrounded by boxes, and ordered food from their favorite local restaurant for one last time. As they ate and reminisced about old times, Maya felt a mixture of sadness and excitement. Remember when we first moved in here? She asked Rajiv. The water pipe burst the very first night. Rajiv laughed. And we had no idea where the main valve was. We called the building manager at 2 a.m. Or the time you tried to fix the kitchen cabinet and it fell off the wall completely, Amit added, making them all laugh harder. As the evening went on, Maya noticed how relaxed Rajiv seemed now. The job with Vikram's company offered better pay than his previous position, and the work sounded more interesting too. Already, he was excited about the projects he would be handling. After Amit left, promising to visit them in Bangalore soon, Maya and Rajiv prepared for their last night in the apartment. They had kept only their bedding and some clothes unpacked for morning. Are you scared? Rajiv asked as they lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Maya thought about it for a moment. A little, she admitted. But mostly I'm hopeful. What about you? I'm nervous about the new job, he said honestly. But I feel lighter somehow, like we're leaving the bad part behind. Maya turned to face him in the darkness. I'm proud of you, the way you've handled everything. I should have been honest from the beginning, Rajiv said, regret in his voice. If I had told you when I first lost my job. We can't change the past, Maya interrupted gently. What matters is that we're facing the future together now. Rajiv reached for her hand under the covers. Do you think we'll be happy in Bangalore? I think, Maya said slowly, that happiness isn't about where we live. It's about us together, supporting each other through whatever comes. In the quiet of their soon-to-be former home, they held hands and dreamed of their new beginning. Tomorrow would bring challenges, but tonight, they were at peace, secure in the knowledge that there were no more secrets between them. 6 months had passed since Maya and Rajiv moved to Bangalore. Their new apartment was smaller than their previous one, but it was in a nice neighborhood with parks and shops nearby. The adjustment hadn't been easy, but they were finding their way in the new city. On this Saturday morning, Maya sat on their small balcony with a cup of coffee, watching the sunrise. Bangalore's weather was much more pleasant than their hometown, especially in this season. A gentle breeze brushed her face as she thought about how much their lives had changed. "You're up early," Rajiv said, joining her with his own cup of coffee. He looked rested, the dark circles that had once been permanent under his eyes now gone. "I couldn't sleep," Maya replied, making room for him on the small bench. "I was thinking about the bank meeting yesterday." Rajiv nodded, understanding in his eyes. "The promotion?" "Yes," Maya said. "My manager said I'm the top candidate, but there are two others being considered. They'll decide next week." "You'll get it," Rajiv said confidently. "Your quarterly results were excellent." Maya smiled at his support. When they first moved to Bangalore, she had started in a position below her previous one. It had been frustrating at times, but she had worked hard to prove herself again. Now, the senior position she had wanted was within reach. "How are things at your office?" she asked. "Is Vikram back from his business trip?" "He returned yesterday," Rajiv said, his expression brightening. "And he brought good news. The client was impressed with our project management. They've signed on for another year with a bigger budget." "That's wonderful," Maya exclaimed. "Does this mean—" "Yes," Rajiv nodded, a smile spreading across his face. "The team is expanding, and Vikram is putting me in charge of the new members. It comes with a salary increase too." Maya leaned over to hug him, genuinely happy for his success. Rajiv had thrived in his new role. The company's smaller size meant he had more responsibility and visibility. His ideas were heard and implemented, something that had rarely happened at his previous job. "We should celebrate," Maya suggested. "Maybe try that new restaurant near Commercial Street." "Actually," Rajiv said, reaching into his pocket, "I had something else in mind." He pulled out 2 airplane tickets. Maya took them, confusion turning to surprise as she read the destination. "Goa? Are these for real?" "Very real," Rajiv confirmed, looking pleased with her reaction. "I booked us for next weekend. The beach resort too. Everything is paid for." Tears formed in Maya's eyes as she stared at the tickets. Goa had been their original anniversary plan, the one Rajiv had been forced to cancel when he lost his job. "But how did you manage this?" she asked. "We're still rebuilding our savings." "Remember that side project I've been working on for Vikram's friend?" Rajiv explained. "It was completed last week, and the payment came through yesterday. I wanted to surprise you." Maya laughed, shaking her head in wonder. "A surprise trip? That sounds familiar." Rajiv's expression turned serious. "I know. It reminded me of that day, when you were going to surprise me, but instead found out about my secret." He took her hand. "I promised myself then that there would be no more secrets between us, and I've kept that promise." "We both have," Maya agreed, squeezing his hand. They sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, watching the city wake up below them. The past 6 months had been challenging, learning new jobs, finding their way around a new city, making new friends. But they had faced it all together. "Do you ever regret it?" Rajiv asked suddenly. "Moving here, starting over?" Maya considered the question carefully. She missed her family and friends back home. Sometimes she missed the familiarity of their old neighborhood, knowing exactly which shop had the best vegetables or where to get her favorite street food. "No," she finally answered, with certainty in her voice. "This move was exactly what we needed." Rajiv smiled, relief visible on his face. "I feel the same way. It's like that secret, as painful as it was, eventually led us to something better." Maya nodded, resting her head on his shoulder as they watched the morning unfold before them. Their story wasn't perfect, but it was honest. And in that honesty, they had found a stronger bond than before. 1 year had passed since Maya and Rajiv had moved to Bangalore. The city that had once felt strange and unfamiliar now felt like home. Today was special. It was their 6th wedding anniversary, exactly 1 year since the day Maya had hidden in their bedroom closet and accidentally discovered Rajiv's secret. Maya stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the blue sari she had chosen for tonight's celebration. Rajiv had planned something special but wouldn't tell her what it was. He only said to dress nicely and be ready by 7. "You look beautiful," Rajiv said, appearing in the doorway of their bedroom. He was wearing a new suit that Maya had helped him pick out last weekend. "Thank you," she smiled. "Now will you tell me where we're going?" Rajiv shook his head, a playful smile on his face. It's a surprise. You'll see when we get there. The past year had been good to them. Maya had received her promotion at the bank 3 months after moving to Bangalore. Rajiv was now leading a team of 8 people at Vikram's company, with responsibilities that matched his experience and skills. Their financial situation had improved significantly, allowing them to start saving again. They took a taxi to an area of Bangalore that Maya wasn't familiar with. When they stopped in front of a tall apartment building, she looked at Rajiv with confusion. "Whose place is this?" she asked as they walked into the lobby. "You'll see," he replied mysteriously, leading her to the elevator. They went up to the 12th floor. Rajiv took a key from his pocket and opened the door to apartment 1204. Maya stepped inside and gasped. The apartment was empty but beautiful, with large windows that offered a stunning view of the city lights. "Rajiv, what is this place?" she asked, walking around the spacious living room. He stood in the center of the room, watching her reaction with a smile. "It's ours, if you want it to be." Maya turned to him, her eyes wide with surprise. "Ours? You bought an apartment without telling me?" No, Rajiv quickly explained. "I didn't buy it. I just paid the booking amount to hold it. We can take it back if you don't like it." Maya walked to the large windows, taking in the view again. "It's beautiful, but can we afford it?" Rajiv joined her by the window. "I've done all the calculations. With both our salaries now, we can manage the loan payments. And our old apartment finally sold last month. That gives us enough for the down payment." Maya remembered their first apartment, which they had decided to sell rather than rent out. It had taken longer than expected to find a buyer, but they had finally closed the deal a few weeks ago. "What do you think?" Rajiv asked, a hint of nervousness in his voice. "I know I should have discussed it with you first, but I wanted it to be an anniversary surprise." Maya looked around the empty apartment again, already imagining how they could furnish it. The living room was twice the size of their current one. The kitchen had modern appliances and plenty of counter space. There were 2 bedrooms. One could be a guest room for when their parents visited, or maybe someday, a room for. "I love it," she said finally, turning to face him with a bright smile. "It feels right." The relief on Rajiv's face was immediate. He pulled her into a hug. "I was so nervous you might think I was keeping secrets again." Maya shook her head. "This is a good surprise, not a secret. There's a difference." They walked through the apartment together, planning where their furniture would go and what new pieces they would need to buy. In the master bedroom, Rajiv pointed to the walk-in closet. "Look, it's much bigger than our old one. You won't have to squeeze in there if you ever want to surprise me again," he joked. Maya laughed, remembering that day a year ago. "I think I've had enough of hiding in closets for one lifetime." As they stood on the balcony later, looking out at the city that had given them a second chance, Rajiv wrapped his arm around Maya's shoulders. "Happy anniversary," he said softly. "Thank you for standing by me through everything." Maya leaned against him, feeling content. That's what marriage is about, being there for each other, in good times and bad. The journey from that day in their old bedroom closet to this moment hadn't been easy. There had been difficult adjustments, moments of doubt, and challenges to overcome. But together, they had built something stronger than before, a marriage based on complete honesty and trust. As the city lights twinkled below them, Maya knew that discovering Rajiv's secret, painful as it had been at the time, had ultimately led them to where they were meant to be,